Good morning, dear students. This is your teacher Neelam Elawat, and we'll continue our chapter, that is chapter number 15, Our Environment. And dear students, this is our lecture number 3. I hope that you are revising this chapter with me and there is no doubt, right everyone? Okay, so a brief recapitulation what we have done so far. In the last video, we have talked about the producers and the consumers. So we have talked about the producers and the consumers, dear students, and we know that 1% of the sunlight is trapped by the 1% of sunlight is trapped by the green plants, and we call them as producers. These producers, they can be your algae, bacteria, or the plants. So they act as the producers of your ecosystem. Now these plants, they are then consumed or they are eaten by the herbivores, and they are also called as primary consumers. Okay, they are also called as primary consumers. Right? So herbivores, they are being eaten, plants are being eaten by the herbivores. Then the herbivores, they are being eaten by the carnivores. Carnivores means the meat eating animals. Okay, the animals that eat the meat. So secondary consumers we have. Then after secondary consumers, we have the tertiary consumers. And these tertiary consumers, they are also called as top carnivores or omnivores. Okay, they can be your top carnivores or they can be the omnivores, and this constitute your food chain, and each step in the food chain is called a trophic level. And how many maximum trophic levels should be there? There should only be 3 to 4 trophic levels in a food chain ideally, because if there are more than this, then the last member will get the least amount of energy, isn't it? So as per the 10% law, the last member will get the least amount of energy. Thus we need to have only 3 to 4 members in a food chain. Okay everyone? Now other than this, we can also have parasites, scavengers and decomposers. So when the animals they die, when the plants they die, then they are acted upon by the decomposers, that is your microorganisms, bacteria, fungus, and they will be converted into simple materials, and these simple materials will be then absorbed by the soil, and from the soil they will again enter the plants through the roots. Now coming in this series, coming to the next topic, it is called the biological magnification. Okay dear students, biological magnification. This is a very important, again very important topic, and we need to understand what is biological magnification. What is biological magnification? So it is basically the increase in the concentration of harmful substances at the various trophic levels. Okay everyone? So it is the increase in the concentration of harmful substances at each trophic level. Now sometimes these harmful chemicals, they may enter the food chain, and thus with each step in the food chain, their concentration increases. Okay, their concentration will keep on increasing. Let's have a very simple example. Let's understand this with the help of an example. Suppose you have put some chemical into the water. Okay, suppose you have put the chemical into the water. So the concentration of the chemical is 0.00003 parts per million. Okay, in very small quantity we have added chemical to the water, right? And this water is being used by the zooplanktons. Okay, this water will be taken by the zooplanktons, or we can say in the water the small plants will grow, and these small plants will also contain some amount of this chemical. Now these small amounts, these small plants, they will be eaten by the zooplanktons. Okay, they will be eaten by the zooplanktons, that is your insects, and the chemical present in them will increase up to 0.04 parts per million. सो देखिए यहाँ पर केमिकल जो था वो बहुत कम था, बट यहाँ पर इट हैज़ इंक्रीज्ड. Now these small insects, they will be eaten by the small fishes. In the fishes also the amount of chemical will increase, that is 0.5 parts per million. Then these small fishes, they will be eaten by the large fishes, and in large fishes also this chemical will increase. Now this small fish is further eaten by the fish eating birds, and there again the chemical it increases and it becomes 25 parts per million, isn't it? So with each step in the food chain, the amount of chemical is increasing. Okay dear students, with each step in the food chain, the amount of chemical is increasing, right? Let's discuss a few more examples. Now suppose we are eating the rice, wheat, isn't it? We are eating rice, wheat, and these are again eaten by the cows. So then from cows we are eating the human beings. So the concentration of the chemicals will be highest in human beings. So we can say then highest in human beings, the chemical will be the highest. So highest concentration of chemicals will be present in human beings, because human beings, they come in the end. Okay, in every food chain the human beings are there, and we generally come at the end. So we are generally present at the last trophic level, right everyone? We are generally present at the last trophic level. So the maximum amount of concentration of chemicals will be present in the human beings, and these chemicals, they are non-biodegradable. These chemicals, they put effect on the health. Okay, so with each step the energy is decreasing. So with each step in the food chain, everyone, the energy is decreasing but the chemical is increasing. So the member who is present at the last step, in the last trophic level, will have the least energy and will have the maximum amount of chemical in the body. Let's have another example. We are talking about the accumulation of mercury. Okay, we are talking about the accumulation of mercury. So initially the planktons and bacteria will be there. Then these will be eaten by the insects and the zooplanktons. Then the small fishes. The small fish will then be further eaten by the predators. Then is the mammals and the birds and the human beings. So last, if there is amount of mercury present in the water, अगर पानी में mercury present है तो धीरे धीरे उसका concentration maximum जो है वो human beings में होगा. So we know, dear students, these chemicals, they are increasing in every step of the food chain, and their maximum concentration will be obtained in case of human beings, right everyone? Thus we can say the biological magnification is very, very dangerous, because it will lead to the maximum concentration of chemicals present in the human beings. So slowly and gradually all the chemicals will be reaching us. Okay, all the chemicals, they will be reaching us. So this is a very dangerous effect which is there. So we should focus on decreasing the level of chemicals, decreasing the level of fertilizers in our fields, because whatever chemical we are spraying, that chemical is ultimately reaching us and will be putting a large amount of severe effect on our health. Like in today's scenario, if we see all our fruits, all our vegetables, they are sprinkled with chemicals, isn't it? And the maximum chemical we are eating. So these chemicals are severely affecting our health. Now coming to the next concept, which is called a ozone layer. Anybody of you have heard this layer? Have you heard about this layer? Yes. Ozone layer, dear students, it is basically a layer which is present in the stratosphere. Okay. So this is our earth. Just above the earth we have a troposphere, and above the troposphere we have a stratosphere. In the lower part of the stratosphere we have the ozone layer. Okay. That is, we can say approximately 16 kilometers above the earth's surface there is ozone layer. Okay. And this ozone layer, it absorbs the UV rays that are coming from the sun. Dear students, sunlight is composed of number of radiations, and one of those radiations is UV rays, and these UV rays, they are very, very harmful. So ozone layer protects us from these UV rays by absorbing these layers. Okay everyone, so these layers, this ozone layer, it absorbs the harmful radiations that are your UV rays that are coming from the surface of the earth. Now what is this ozone layer made up of? This ozone layer, dear students, is made up of 3 atoms of oxygen. So we can represent it with O3. And as I told you, it is present in the stratosphere, approximately 16 kilometers above the surface of the earth, and it traps the UV rays. Okay, it traps the UV rays, and those UV rays are very, very harmful for us. So what basically happens? The 2 molecules of oxygen, that is your O2, combines with one more atom of oxygen, and it forms O3 molecule. Okay, it forms the O3 molecules. So O2 combines with one atom of oxygen and forms O3 molecule. And this O3 molecule, dear students, it is very unstable. Okay, this molecule is very, very unstable. It is formed and it again breaks down. Okay, it again forms and it is break down. Then again it combines with the one atom of oxygen, and again it forms the ozone layer. Okay everyone, and this ozone layer, dear students, is very, very useful for us because it traps the UV radiations that are coming from the surface of the earth. Okay, is that clear? O3 molecule which is there, this O3 is very deadly poisonous for us. But since it is not present in our atmosphere, it is present in the stratosphere, so we are all prevented from the ozone layer as well. We are not, the ozone layer does not put any harmful effect on our health. Now coming to the adverse effects of the ultraviolet radiations. See, if there is no ozone layer, then all these ultraviolet radiations, they will reach the surface of the earth. Okay, ozone layer traps the UV rays, and thus these rays, they do not reach the surface of earth. But suppose if there is no ozone layer, then most of your UV rays, they will reach the surface of the earth, and this will cause many harmful effects. First, they will raise the temperature of the earth. So it will lead to the global warming, and it can cause skin cancers, skin disorders. Then it further can lead to eye disorders and many more, like skin cataract. Skin cancer, that is also being caused by your UV radiations, and eye cataract. These are the 2 profound effects that have been observed if your UV rays, this reach the surface of the earth. If the UV rays, they reach the surface of the earth. Now since, as I told you, that ozone layer is very, very important, dear students, and it is present in the stratosphere. But from last many years, it is continuously being observed that the layer of ozone, okay, that the amount of ozone in our atmosphere, it is sharply decreasing. Okay, so the ozone layer which is present there, which traps your UV radiations, it depletes, it is depleting. It is continuously being reduced. So the thinning of the ozone layer by the air pollutants is called the ozone depletion. Okay, dear students, what do we call it? Ozone depletions. What is ozone depletion? The thinning of ozone layer by the air pollutants. Now what are these air pollutants? These are your CFCs. CFCs means chlorofluorocarbons. These chlorofluorocarbons, they are present in the refrigerators and in the air conditioners. So these gases, that is chlorofluorocarbons, the concentration of these chemicals is increasing in the atmosphere, and these chemicals, that is these chlorofluorocarbons, they are decreasing, they are depleting the ozone layer. Okay, and because of this, more amount of UV rays are coming on the surface of the earth, right? CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbons. So as I've told you, because of this, there is a hole which is being created here. can see the hole present in the earth atmosphere. This is the ozone hole which is there. Okay, this yellow portion is called the ozone hole. Sorry, this purple portion is ozone hole. Okay everyone, the purple portion that you can see is the ozone hole. As you can see, it is earlier it was like this, now it is continuously increasing. So the ozone hole is continuously increasing, and because of this the ice is melting. Okay, because the average temperature of the earth is increasing, ice is melting, right? And this all effect is because of the chlorofluorocarbons, that is your CFCs. Because these CFCs, they trap the oxygen atom and thus they create a hole in the ozone layer. So keeping this in mind, that the CFCs they are thinning our ozone layer. So in 1987, the United Nations Environment Program, it has banned the use of CFCs. Okay, it has frozen the use of CFCs, and this agreement is made by the industrialized nations so that the use of CFC can be frozen, and we should use other alternative sources instead of CFCs. So now instead of CFCs, hydrogen fluorocarbons, okay, and PFCs, they are being used, right everyone? So CFCs, they have been frozen, the use of CFCs has been frozen, and nowadays use of HFCs and PFCs has increased, but these are further, you can say HFCs are also depleting the ozone layer. So dear students, there is a constant need to search for other alternatives, otherwise our ozone layer will deplete, and may be possible that in next few years it won't be there. So this convention, which was signed by different industrialized nations, is called as Montreal Protocol. Okay, this is called as Montreal Protocol. Next biggest problem that is in front of us, in front of the human beings, is how to manage the garbage that we produce. Garbage means the waste that we are producing. So garbage basically is, let's define the garbage. Garbage is a refuse of fruits, vegetables and food, and along with the domestic waste. So we are continuously producing large amount of waste, and this waste has to be disposed of in the right ways. Okay, जितना भी हम वेस्ट प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, उस वेस्ट को हमें डिस्पोज ऑफ करने की ज़रूरत है, जिससे वो हमारे एनवायरनमेंट को पोल्यूट ना करे. So this should be disposed of in a right way. So there are number of methods which we can use, or we are using. First is landfills. We can prepare the manure. We can burn this waste at a high temperature that is called incineration. Or we can produce biogas, that is your methane gas, and that can be used in houses as a fuel. And lastly, the sewage treatment. Let's talk about each of them. So let's discuss each of them separately. Mama. Landfills. Now what do we do in landfills? We put a large amount of waste and fill the dumps. Okay, we select a particular space which is not fertile. हम एक ऐसा land select करते हैं, वहाँ पर हम उस waste को pour करते हैं, right everyone? And then it is done for the landfilling. Second is preparation of compost. Out of this waste हम कुछ selected material, recycling जिसको हम कहते हैं, उस waste में से कुछ useful material है तो उसको हम निकाल लेते हैं, उसको दोबारा फैक्ट्रीज में चैनलाइज किया जाता है जिससे कि हम उसे रिसाइकिल कर सकें विद पुटिंग द मिनिमम कॉस्ट. देन प्रोडक्शन ऑफ बायोगैस. वी नो डियर स्टूडेंट्स दैट बायोगैस प्लांट यूटिलाइजेज योर काउ डंग इन द किचन वेस्ट, and biogas can be produced which largely contains your methane gas, and this methane gas can be used as a fuel in your houses. Then the preparation of compost. We can easily decompose the waste by putting some you can say digging the land area and then putting the waste into this pit and leaving this waste for 15 to 20 days and after 15 to 20 days this waste can be gets converted into manure, and this particular manure can be utilized in the fields, right? So waste can be used to produce the manure, and this manure is your organic manure, which will increase the fertility of the soil, the water holding capacity of the soil, and will also increase your crop production in the long term. So this enriches your soil, right? Instead of using fertilizers, we can use large amount of this manure. Then incinerators. This is a picture of the incinerator where waste can be put into it, and this waste will be burnt at a high temperature. And because of burning at a high temperature, that will be converted into ashes, and those ashes, they can be utilized as a manure to be put in the fields. Coming to the sewage treatment, we know, dear students, that the factories, they pollute the large amount of water. The Narmada river, the Ganga river, the Yamuna river, all your rivers, they are having polluted waters because these industries, they release their untreated water into the rivers. So if we use a sewage treatment plant, all these industries, they should treat their waste water, right? And then this water can be channelized into the rivers. Like we should first do the screening, then there should be a grid disposal, that is a removal of the waste. Then this will be passed to sedimentation tanks where raw sludge will be separated out. Then it will pass to the aeration tanks where oxygen is supplied to reduce the BOD, that is biological oxygen demand. And once the final, you can say final settling tank, then this water is you can say removed, and it is further processed for the secondary treatment. Now recycled wastewater, it will be utilized for agriculture and landscape reuse. Like whatever water is left, whatever water we are using, having the treated water, this water can be used to in our gardens, okay, for watering the plants, or for washing the cars, right, or for washing our houses. So for other purposes we can use this kind of water. Now if this water is subject to tertiary treatment, that is we pass the chlorine gas or ultraviolet radiations, then this water can be recycled, it can be filtered, and it can be used as for drinking purpose as well. We can use it, if not using for the drinking purpose, then we can use in industries or for agricultural use. So the waste water should be treated by the industries before it is being released into the rivers, right? So because the rivers, if the rivers get polluted, we are using our drinking water from the rivers. And once if these rivers are polluted, we won't have even a single sip of water which we can drink. Because in comparison to the oceans, the drinking water is simply 1 spoonful in comparison to the oceans. Okay, so we should not waste water, we should not pollute water. Rather, whatever water we are using, we should treat it, okay, and then it will be it should be released into the rivers. So now coming to homework with dear students, first of all you will make notes of this topic. So you will read the page numbers 261 to 263. Very minutely you will read these page numbers. You will underline the important points, okay, and you will make your notes, and if there is any query that you have, you will send your queries, your problems to me personally, right everyone? Okay, so that's all for today. Bye everyone.